Hello and welcome to Pick Up the Mic. My name is Mike Reiner, lead pastor of Harvest Church, and this is our first and foundational podcast with Will Land, my faithful sidekick and brainiac. Hey, it's the new year. Here's what we're going to do different. We're going to study the book of Romans. This podcast is going to have a dedicated book of Romans study. You know why? I taught the book of Romans once from the front of a church.
How long did it take? Forever.
One of our guys went off to seminary. 3 years later, he came back, and he goes, "Are you still in Romans?" And I literally didn't even realize I'd been in Romans the whole time he was away.
It is like the meatiest book.
Yes, and I think I've taught it in a class.
It's like a ribeye steak.
It is. It's
of
like
the Bible.
a sizzled ribeye steak, and then it might even be like a brisket. I mean, you've got to take your time and cook it right.
It's like every sentence almost
matters.
And
every Christian should know it.
Well, it's where you get a lot of theology. I mean, it's just a theologically thick book.
You have to pick one book of the Old Testament, one book of the New Testament, and those are the only two books of the Bible that you could give to someone who doesn't know the Lord, and that's all he can give for the rest of his life. What do you pick?
I think Romans is a good argument out of the New Testament, or I feel like you got to give a gospel. I mean, if you're only going to pick one book, it'd probably be Luke or Matthew. It'd be one of those two for me, just because they have the most detail.
Okay, how about Old Testament?
And then I don't know how you get out of the Old Testament without knowing Genesis.
That's exactly where I'd say Genesis.
I mean, the 50 chapters of Genesis.
Genesis, period. That's the best you could do. You're not getting the
If
Hebrew.
you could have three, I would do Genesis, one of the Gospels, and then Romans.
That's exactly. I would think. I would go with Genesis and John, and maybe.
But I love John, but
the only reason I'd choose John over one of the synoptics is because if I only have one, it's in that one that he says, so that you would believe. That's the one that states outright that faith saves you. But I agree with any gospel would do.
yeah.
But if it couldn't be a gospel, let's say
because Luke and Matthew is where you get, as we're learning as we've been going through Luke, that's where you get the lion's share of all the Jesus parables that everybody knows. Like a lot of Jesus's teachings, and then the stories. about Jesus.
You can't leave out the story of Jesus if you only have two books. So let's say you have four, two from the Old, two from the New.
Oh.
So now it's easy, right? New Testament, you just add Romans.
You just add Romans.
And I don't think anyone would go anywhere else but Romans.
I would agree.
What's
your second book in the Old Testament?
I'd probably have to go to Exodus.
That's exactly my thought.
You can't leave the people in Egypt.
Right. Well, and yeah.
Or Deuteronomy. Maybe Deuteronomy because it tells the whole story. I think I'd go Genesis and then Deuteronomy because it repeats a lot of the law and it tells more of the story. Maybe Exodus.
I would still stick with Exodus.
Yeah, it's hard with
I mean, think about being a kid in Sunday school. Like Genesis and Exodus is where you get 90% of your childhood story arc of the Bible stories. It's like got all the characters in those two books.
Well, it's also the story of the Bible, the promise to Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
You need that. You need to know who the people of Israel are.
The rebelliousness of Israel, unfaithfulness
but
in the
not
desert.
to get to Joshua. Joshua connects the books of Moses to the rest.
Yeah.
So I'd rather say let's read all the books of Moses and at least get to Joshua. But then you don't have the temple yet, so now you got to get to 1st and 2nd Samuel. Anyway, but Romans, to get back to it, I taught it once at Harvest from the pulpit, and I went much faster on purpose. And I'm 62 years old, fresh 62. So I got is it 62? Yeah, I'm a fresh 62. So I got a whole 63rd year to work with here. But I'm not going to have time to preach through Romans again. No. I will die before I preach through Romans again. So
I mean, I hope you could preach through it in the time
so
you're going to be
books.
alive. But
yes. But I thought I can teach it.
Yeah. Be good for me too. I like Romans.
Everyone. In fact, you can actually, if I stick with one thing, a lot of you, I don't know if you know this, Sunshine, but I leave him hanging. He can't plan ahead because I don't always say what I'm going to do next. But with Romans, you can study as much as you want. it is, except for perhaps a gospel, the king of books. It is the pinnacle, the highest point in the Bible. And I would say chapter 8 is the peak. That is Mount Everest. The 8th chapter. So if you had to cut it up, the simplest outline is verse 1 to 15 of chapter 1 is the introduction. Verse 16 all the way to the end of 8. Now you could chop that up too for an outline, but all that is one section. It's the explanation of salvation.
Yes.
And 8 is the pinnacle. It's just the best. So we're going to start doing that early on in the podcast every time we meet. We also have some great stuff coming up. We've got Casey Diaz going to be a guest, and he taught at one of our retreats. He wrote the book Shot Caller, and talking about how he was stuck in solitary confinement for being a gangster, and now he's an angel for the Lord.
If you want a good case study on the power of God's word, right? I always thought his story was eye-opening to me because I didn't even think this was possible. You got we'll call him an uneducated man, and I don't mean that.
He could read.
Yeah, modern uneducated.
But he never went to school.
But he never really went to high school because he was into gangs. It's not like he went to college, right? So he could read, and somebody gives him a King James Bible in jail. Yeah, that's what he said.
Well, he got saved first. Someone witnessed to him.
Yes, a lady.
And then all he had was the Bible, and he had no teacher because he was stuck alone in a room.
I just think it's crazy that like a guy who can just merely read gets a King James only version Bible, not only King James Bible, and grows significantly in knowledge and maturity,
and is willing to die.
Yeah,
because if you what's it, blood in, blood out for a gang. They say you kill someone to get in, and they'll kill you if you try to leave. You don't always have to kill someone, but that's what they mean. Blood in, blood out. If you leave, we're going to kill you. And in jail especially.
Yeah.
And he was willing to die. He didn't die. He ended up getting out of jail, and he talks like a guy from East L.A., and he's a good friend of ours. He's going to be on via video.
Yeah, we're going to remote him in.
But if you're watching, you're not going to tell the difference because we're on video. Just like we had Andy from England.
Andy Bannister.
One of our most popular podcasts was Andy. People still love Andy. And I think you guys are going to love him. So we got a lot coming. Glad for this audience. Glad you're out there because you're not really an audience. You're our brothers and sisters. We know you. We talk to you all the time. Most of you go to this church. Some of you don't. I got a good buddy named Eric Meyer, who still talks to me a bit, gives me feedback, let me know he's paying attention. And I told him I want him to come here and be live on this because he's involved in a prison ministry that's really cool, him and his wife. I'll screw it up if I talk about it, so he's got to talk about it. We'll have to get him on. But what they do is they bring coaches and they bring a whole baseball team, I'm pretty sure, to maximum security teams or prisons, and they form baseball teams and they play baseball and preach the gospel, and the inmates love it.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's awesome. I would love to see something like that around
Baseball
here.
And Jesus.
Baseball and Jesus.
I had a funny experience.
It's because they're white people.
Last week.
They can't do basketball and Jesus because, bringing a bunch of white dudes playing basketball and Jesus, they just get laughed out of the prison yard.
Kevin Nash, baby. I'm talking to this woman, Harvest churchgoer. Hopefully she hears us. Dina, last week.
Dina.
And we had never met before, so we're having this great conversation.
Purple-haired Dina.
Yeah.
I know Dina.
She listens to us all the time.
I love Dina.
And she's talking to me, and she goes,
husband, Ricky.
have you ever listened to the podcast here? She's like, starts talking to me about the podcast. I was like, yeah, I'm that other one that's on there all the time.
Hat.
No, because she listens on Spotify.
She doesn't see.
So she was like flabbergasted. She was talking to me about the podcast, and then I was like, yeah, I'm
I think
one of the
video plays there too.
I'm one of the dudes on the podcast.
Yes.
And then she was starstruck. She brought her husband over to meet.
Ricky's a good guy.
Yeah, Ricky seemed really nice too.
He's a good guy. They are.
So Merry Christmas, Dina.
They are
and Rick.
now foundational members, not members of Harvest yet, hopefully soon, but members of our New Bethlehem campus.
Yep.
And they have family there too. There's another Dina. We have 2 Dinas and a bunch of Ungers. You got to go.
That's the way Western PA is.
You got to go see it to believe it. 2 Dinas and a whole pass.
Well,
of
you can
Ungers.
just tell she was excited and loves the Lord, and she's all in, baby. I like it. Nice to meet you, Dina.
And we still have another frequently asked questions coming up, more than one. We haven't forgotten. But today, let's jump into Romans. Romans, if you've got a Bible, open it as we go through, because you're going to want to take notes. You're going to want to stick with it.
For I am not ashamed of the gospel.
Yes, that's where we're going. Paul, the apostle, he never went to Rome until he went in chains. And you can read the story of that in the book of Acts.
Got his head cut off.
He did not plant the church in Rome.
Yeah.
And it seemed to bug...
Peter did, right?
No, he just came and sat down as the Pope. Oh, you got a throne for me and a big hat? I'm ready.
So there was a church in Rome.
That no one knows who planted it. It was none of the apostles, as far as we know, planted that church. But Paul seemed to be... I'm reading between the lines here, as you're going to see. He kind of says he's the one who... I think you will read between the lines the same thing as you go through it with us. He seems to be saying, either I'm a little jealous that I didn't get up there, so I'm going to make sure I explain the gospel to you, or I want to make sure the guys who did get up there, for some reason, he decides to give his most thorough explanation of the good news of Jesus to the Romans, a place he'd never been.
Well, and it matters, right? So Rome at the time, even more so, but think equivalent to Washington, D.C., it is the seat of power of the known universe at that point, right? Rome is like at its apex. Mm-hmm. And so if the church flourishes in Rome, you're rubbing shoulders. Like, hopefully people you're evangelizing to that might be converted they have influence. Mm-hmm. And so you want them to have right doctrine, because they, more than anybody, might, as we see in time, do flourish into a big world influencing power. And we see what happens when you have bad doctrine and become a large influencing power, aka the Roman Church now, today. The Catholics. So it makes sense that Paul wants to make sure the nascent church in Rome is on a good footing theologically.
I didn't even think of that, but yeah, it is a seat of power politically.
Yes.
And so let's jump in with this in mind. Now, we're not going to speed, but we're not going to try to go slow either. So I'm inviting you, Will, to stop at any point you want to make any insights, to ask any questions, or...
Got it.
We want to tear this
I like
apart.
Romans a lot. I'm afraid. Well, I'm sure I'll get schooled up myself by you on some things I'm sure I have
every
wrong.
Time I read Romans, I think, have I ever understood this? I always walk away with a new, not a different interpretation, but like I thought I didn't even understand what I was reading. In fact, we have cassette tapes somewhere in my attic. They're probably ruined now, of all the sermons from First Baptist Church that we have cassette tapes of, which it's probably most of them. And we saved them and never listened to them. And they seemed to have value at the time. They had writing on them. There's a little tape. We put them in a box and saved them. Now, what good are they? But that's probably the only copy of my Roman sermons from First Baptist Church, unless some of the old timers there have them.
If you're not embarrassed of them, we can digitize them.
That's what I don't want to do. So that's my point. I'm afraid to hear myself teach those. I'm like, well,
we're going to get to it.
I probably don't want to hear the ones I preached here. I probably think, I don't think
well,
I did
it's interesting because it's a book you really have to pay attention to. I know we're just tiptoeing around it, but in this first chapter, I remember last time I studied Romans with some guys, it was Sean Baker. I had my entire opinion about a verse a lot of people are familiar with in chapter 1. My perspective on it totally changed because I was like, I was not reading the right. There, for I am not ashamed of the gospel. We'll get to it.
Okay,
but you hear that one out of context a lot, and Paul is talking about a very specific thing there. It's applicable to other things, but
it's good stuff. Yeah. So here we go. I'm going to say verse 1 to 14 or 15, you can cut it on either one, is the introduction. And it is not a throwaway. It's not, "Dear Rome, how are you? I am fine." That's how my introductions go in letters, right? "Dear Sunshine, how are you? I am fine. The weather's good. Lori and I are happy. How are you and doing?" Whoops, got to beep that out. That's how I start letters, But this is loaded. This is loaded. He says, "Paul, a bondservant of Christ Jesus, called as an apostle, set apart for the gospel of God," and this is not the end of the sentence, but I can't get any farther than that, right? He's a bondservant.
Slave.
He's a slave. He's a slave of Jesus Christ.
Called as an apostle, which is a sent out one.
He is. It could be sent out one. It really means messenger.
Yeah, like angel.
Angel means messenger also, correct. He is a bondservant. He looks at himself as a slave. Now, slavery is normally coerced or forced. And it's interesting, does Christ enslave us when we come to know him? What's your thought on that? Do you have any thought on that?
Well, yes and no. You are not a slave. But you're like, I can't remember. Consider yourself as slaves. So, Paul, I like the translated term bond servant because it's slightly different than the word slave.
Okay.
A bond servant is when you have a debt, right? I might be out of money. I want to come join someone, rich guy's household so I can eat and have a place to stay, and I'm working as paying off that of a debt.
Right.
Or
like
I might
a
owe him
7-year
money.
indentured servant.
And as you think about that, we talk all the time about Jesus has bought you with his blood,
yes,
right?
Bought with a price.
Now,
did you know, though, that the word doulos there is slave? It can be bondservant.
No, I said I just like the English bondservant.
Right, that's a translator's choice, though. He could have put slave.
Yeah, well,
so,
that same language is used by Jesus himself. I'm thinking about the parable where it's been in my head recently in Luke, where he talks about he calls some people you worthless slaves, where he says in a different parable, when the slaves come in from working in the field, what does the master serve them dinner first and say, "Oh, such a good job for doing"?
Then go wash your face.
Right. So, yeah, you.
So I threw you off with that, but you were saying
you're to act like a slave, but you're not a slave.
So what would cause someone to act like a slave who's not a slave?
Someone who, motivated by love, wants to lower themselves, which is what Jesus tells us all the time. He came to serve, not to be served. He emptied himself to be a servant. I'm trying to think of the language.
You're right
exactly.
on. I think you're right on. I think love is the only answer. Jesus, the word doulos, the word servant, these are the kind of words that go with Jesus people in the Bible. And Jesus himself said, "I didn't come to be served, but to serve."
Yeah.
And he was the highest. Well, what's his motive? Jesus made himself a slave to us, if you will. But it wasn't coerced. There is a slavery. Love can't be forced. Slavery can be forced. So Paul has a zealousness that's unmatched. I think if I could psychoanalyze him, which I can't, he's type A, and he can't slow his mind down. I think he loses sleep. I don't think he can sleep. I think he's one of those guys who is constantly concerned. If he had nothing, he couldn't go on vacation. I don't think he could go on vacation. He says at times in the scriptures,
he probably wouldn't want to. He'd probably rebuke you for wanting to go on vacation.
He talked. That's right.
You're wasting time.
Well, or he would go on vacation with you so he could do something while he's there with you, like disciple you or something. He talks about being anxious. He the thoughts of all the
praying continuously.
The fact that he cares about the Romans, like I have a much different constitution, a much different makeup. If I know someone else has planted the church, I'll be like, good. I don't have to worry about that one. He's like, so, but he calls himself a bondservant of Christ. He was saved. When he got saved, Christ interrupted his life and told him how much he'd have to suffer on day one.
Wow.
Could you imagine getting saved and on day one you're told, I need you to go to the Jews and especially the Gentiles and open up their eyes, and you are going to suffer many things. The Bible says on day one he was told he would suffer for Christ. And then Paul was like, yeah, sign me up. Paul is rugged. Paul is...
Well,
come on, man.
He is rugged. No, Paul's the man.
Paul is that dude right there.
But sign me up. I mean...
But I'd say sign me up too.
It was basically like...
here am I. But come on, man.
He got to see. I mean, Jesus flashed in his face and then spoke to him directly and then made him blind.
He did it with all the apostles. I bet you Peter laid around a lot. I bet you he did. One time Paul had to come rebuke Peter because he wouldn't eat with the Gentiles. Because, he's chilling, man. It's like, well, I don't really want to fight this over. Forget it.
Peer pressure. He's given into peer pressure from the Judaizers.
I think he was just relaxing. I don't think he could be pressured. I think he's like, I do not care enough.
We're going to be in Romans for 15 years.
No. I think we have to establish who. I told you, we got to establish who this guy is. He is a rabid guy. What's that guy's name here?
Jocko Willink.
He's Jocko.
Commander Jocko
I think he gets up in the morning and goes, time to rock.
Yeah.
Now, he's called an apostle, but he's not one of the 12.
Correct. As one untimely born.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a certain set of apostles that had to see Jesus. If you didn't see Jesus and learn from him, you couldn't be an apostle. And then there are other people who seem to use the name, it's hard to tell in the Bible because it's not very specific, with some other people who are just like church planting dudes. They didn't necessarily see Jesus. But that office of the 12, he seems to claim a 13th chair that's not there. And he's been assigned to the Gentiles, and he knows it. And that's what he says. So he's a bondservant, called as an apostle. Called means God told him do this. And then it says, what the next words are set apart. Who set him apart?
Jesus.
God set him apart. One theme you're going to get here is the sovereignty of God, and God is calling the shots. God set him apart for a message, the gospel of Jesus Christ. The word gospel means
great news.
Great news. It is, let me see if I can look it up here so I can say it right.
Evangel.
Yes, I'm going to say it. I say it all the time, but I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's E-U-A-N. How would you say E-U-A-N?
Euangelion.
And then Gelion.
Euangelion. I don't know.
It's really a cool word when you think about it. Euangelion. Good tidings. How can you be set apart for a message? Isn't that a waste of life? Just words. You're set apart just to tell words. That's it. He's not building buildings. He's not starting governments.
It's the power of God unto salvation.
He's not doing art. It's just words. Words. How can words save a soul for real? I mean, if somebody's falling off a cliff, words are not going to save him. He's going to fall and he's going to die.
They might save him.
If someone needs a bill paid and you walk up and say to the guy who he owes, paid, he's still going to owe that bill. You have to come up with some cold hard cash. If the kids are hungry, you say, food for you.
That's not true.
If you're thirsty and you say, water, it's all useless.
That's not true.
What do you mean it's not true? Sure it is true.
It's true for you as a human. However,
like right now, wouldn't you like a great big ribeye steak? If I say ribeye steak, you're still hungry. There ain't no ribeye steak there.
Yeah, but that's because you're a human. We see in the Bible,
well,
God's power emanates from the power of his word. He creates the universe with his word, right? His mouth speaks and things come into existence.
I speak.
Right, because you're an image bearer. Jesus is called the word.
So I speak and
John.
God speaks.
And so when God...
What's the difference?
You yours doesn't have the power. Well, it does.
Well,
only through
last
the Holy
time
Spirit.
I think we talked about analogous.
Yes.
There's an analogical difference. I can speak because God can speak.
Right.
But when I think of words, they're useless for the most part.
Yeah.
To do solid things.
But they are the mechanism by which God works his power in this universe.
Because when he speaks, it's different.
Speaks, it's different. Like when he says, "Let there be light," there's light.
There cannot not be light.
When he makes a promise, it's as though it's already fulfilled. He talks about it in the past tense.
So if I were to say, ribeye steak, medium rare, perfectly seasoned, now, nothing happens. But if God said that, it could not happen.
Yeah, right. So words are the most fundamental power of our universe, the way I see it.
Okay, so, well, that established, because God, if God says them.
Yes.
Okay, Paul's not God.
Right, but words also carry meaning. That's what they are. That's what distinguishes a word from gibberish. Right? I mean, I'm making sound waves with my mouth. I can make gibberish noises. What makes them words is that they have meaning, right? And meaning is what really matters. Otherwise, we're just meat and protoplasm. Like, what makes us a human is not the atoms. It's
so you
meaning.
and I are exchanging words with meanings.
Yes, and God gives a message that has power behind it.
But
we're going to find out in this actual text.
I think I'll be improved after we talk. But I'm going to leave here essentially the same way I came into this room. So, where's the power in you talking to me? Where's Paul's power? How does Paul get power in words? Can he create a steak because he's an apostle for somebody? Can he say steak for you?
No, it's the mechanism by which the Holy Spirit changes people's hearts.
Steak?
Words.
And I don't think it's a waste of time for me to belabor this point, because
feels like it
to you.
But this is
because you're already.
This is the power.
You're already thinking 2 steps ahead because you think about these things. For me, I want to break it down and actually think: how can words?
Because God says that you can know enough. I feel like I'm jumping ahead because this is all in this chapter. You can know enough about God to damn yourself apart from words.
Yes.
You can observe reality. You can go look at a mountain.
I'm already
you can
damned
see
because
created
I'm a sinner.
things.
Yes.
And you can become aware of a creator. But it's only through the revealed things of God. And revealed, inherent in the word revealed, means he had to tell us, which requires words.
So he has to reveal things by telling us things.
By telling us things through words. And it's the revealed message of the gospel that you gain access to salvation.
Okay.
So
there's
without words, just your eyeballs, your ears, and your nose, and your 5 senses out in the landscape, you can know about God, but not enough to save yourself, to be saved.
So, but now you're hitting it. You're saying being saved means knowing something.
Means knowing. Well,
and that's what
Jesus primarily.
And I want to just point out the foolishness of that message. The idea.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think this is where people. This is the Roman error. It's foolish to say that me just knowing a message and interacting with those words can save me. I also need to do something. I need to pray some beads. I need to do some good deeds. I need to take the wafer. I need to light some candles, because those are things you do. Words are just empty. And it can feel that way. And the gospel is a specific message. And it's defined by Jesus through the apostles. It's defined by him through them. So Paul is not empowered that anything he says is powerful. He can say, here's some French fries. But if he doesn't actually cut up potatoes and boil them in oil, he has no French fries. He can say anything he wants.
Maybe at certain parts he could have done that. But.
Well, my point is this. There's an ordained specific message that God is promising to change a person's soul from dead to alive if he hears it and believes it.
Yes.
So it's a very powerful thing. It's the most powerful thing, so much so that if every human on the earth today heard and believed, then the most important thing that could happen in every life would have just happened. And it would change eternity. It would change the future. It's not any message. It is an authorized message called the gospel.
Yes.
Now, it has been entrusted with Paul. He thinks it's worth dying for. He thinks it's worth calling himself a slave of Christ for. I've been entrusted with knowledge that I want to deliver to everybody I can. And it's worth going to jail for. It's worth getting beat to get this message out. This is not any message. The power isn't in Paul. It's in the message. And the Holy Spirit, well, the Holy Spirit power is in Paul, but the Holy Spirit, who is God, has to speak through it. So when he says, Paul, a bondservant of Christ Jesus, called as an apostle, set apart for the gospel of God, he's including all that in there. That's what he means. I am here with the authorized message. Not any old person could bring you the message and say, this is it, unless it matched what the 12 plus Paul said the gospel was. And he takes it as he went from hating the church to now he's set aside to bringing the message that produces the church. By the way, the church is that. The seed of the plant that is the church is a message. You can't have Christians without the gospel. And you can't have a church without Christians. So he's set apart for the gospel of God, which he promised beforehand through his prophets in the Holy Scriptures. Verse 2. Important to capture in verse 2 that the gospel does not begin when Christ starts teaching on the earth.
It's in Genesis.
It's in Genesis, Exodus, all the way through all the prophets, all the way through the Psalms. The Holy Spirit of God has been telling this story since there have been Jews.
And when you read Acts, which is right before this book, yes.
Yes.
You just
right.
Looked confused.
I was actually thinking through Acts, Romans, Corinthians. Yes.
Yeah. That's the pattern that Paul uses when he goes from town to town. When he goes into the synagogues, he starts by showing that
verse 2.
The gospel was promised beforehand through the prophets concerning
in the Holy
God's
Scriptures.
Son. Yeah. So it's like in Acts, he goes to every town's synagogue when he goes to these new Greek towns, and he's showing the Jews this is not a new thing. It's a fulfillment of old things that you just didn't see clearly before.
And that helps you when you're trying to make an explanation. By the way, what would he consider the Holy Scriptures in that time? Well, the Jewish Bible was the one we have, Genesis to Malachi. It has a little bit, I think, a one chapter number difference. I think but otherwise it's the exact same as what we have today.
I don't think they split up Kings.
I don't remember.
Or something like that.
But it's the same words as what we have today. This is, people often say, what about the Apocrypha? It's not in the Holy Scriptures that Jesus read.
That's literally why they called it the Apocrypha. It's what the word means.
What does the word mean, Apocrypha?
I think it means next to or alongside.
So there you go.
Not in.
So the Romans put it in there, and it doesn't include the Book of Enoch. It doesn't include any of them old things that people think should be in there. It is just those 39 books of the Bible that we would call the Old Testament. And then he said he promised beforehand, and verse 3 says, concerning his son who was born of the descendant of David according to the flesh. He is saying that the prophets of the Holy Scripture was about Jesus. The Old Testament is about Jesus. Andy Stanley, a few years ago, and a couple times since, but he goes quiet for a while, and then he says something, and then he goes quiet. But he said we need to disconnect the gospel from the Old Testament. And he was talking about we need to stick with the New Testament. And there have been some, throughout the ages, there have been certain sects of Christianity who have said we don't need to look at the Old Testament. These people are all fools. It's right there. Paul points to it. Jesus
points to it.
If you know the theology of the New Testament, which is what an apostle, which is the gospel, and you only have the Old Testament in your hand, you should be able to share the gospel with anyone using the Bible and show them Jesus in the Bible. Jesus was a descendant of David according to the flesh, and then he goes right to verse 4, who was declared the Son of God by power of the resurrection from the dead. So this is his introduction. This is the how are you, I am fine. He wants to make sure we know what he's talking about. I'm talking about me, an apostle, who give the authoritative message that was promised in the Old Testament, and it's about Jesus, who you know is the king through David, according to his flesh, according to Mary and Joseph, although Joseph wasn't his real dad. And he was declared the Son of God with power by the resurrection from the dead, so according to the Spirit of holiness, Christ Jesus our Lord. So we know who he's talking about. He's talking about a man named Jesus, son of David, and he's talking about the Son of God, and he puts the whole Trinity in there. He has the Son, that's the second person, of God, the first person, and then he has the Spirit of holiness who testifies, if you will, to through the resurrection of the dead. And then he gives them all his titles. Christ Jesus our Lord. So now we know who he's talking about. Now we know who Paul is. We know who Paul's talking about, and we know it's about the gospel. I'm out of breath, but we got to keep going.
Through whom? Through Jesus, we have received grace, so gift, and apostleship, to bring about the obedience of faith among all the Gentiles for his name's sake.
Who are we?
So,
and
the apostles.
It's hard to know who exactly we would be here.
It's either someone that the Roman Church would expect to be with Paul, which is there's several people in his journeys that could be with him. Silas, I think was the last one with him. So it's hard to know, or it could just mean
Luke.
Generally.
Luke was always with him there.
The apostles.
Oh, gosh.
Because he's referring to himself as an apostle. So, through whom we, the apostles, have received grace and apostleship to bring about the obedience of faith among all the Gentiles for his name's sake. So Jesus sent us after giving us grace and
Not
authority.
Us. Who's us?
The apostles. I'm Paul.
Okay.
I'm saying Paul.
Okay, good. Gotcha.
I'm pretending to be Paul.
Okay.
I'm rewriting verse 5 in my own
Gotcha.
words. Jesus, after giving us grace and authority, that's where apostleship is, has sent us to bring about obedience and faith among the Gentiles for Jesus' own glory, for his name's sake.
So
that's what I'm here to do.
That's right. So now I can't go that fast. I can't, but that is the outline. We have received apostleship.
Mm-hmm.
Not anyone can just call himself an apostle. It is a gift. We have received grace. That grace, obviously, is the power to do what he does, the forgiveness of sins and all the rest. The goal is to bring about, what was that phrase?
Obedience of faith.
Obedience of faith.
Yeah, I think I said and, but that was a misread. It's obedience of faith.
What does that mean?
It's so funny because chronologically, I think. Well, no, it's in John, too. Faith produces obedience. We talked about it before. Faith is a living faith, meaning it's not real faith if it doesn't produce changes in your behavior, because that means you don't actually believe, or you don't actually have faith.
You're saved by faith. By trust. Faith could be thought of as trust in, cling to, rely on, as I was taught in seminary. It's that trust. It's not just knowing, right?
Yes.
So you're trusting in Christ. But the goal the way he knows he's gotten somewhere is he sees a Gentile obeying Christ. That's how he knows he's gotten somewhere, right? Because I'm here to bring about. So for him, success requires Gentiles to obey. Now, if you're saved by faith, how does obedience work its way in? By the way, in English, for grammar, that's a genitive, which means it's a possessive, which means, what do you say? You could say faith, apostrophe S, obedience.
Oh.
Okay, that's what it's saying.
I like that.
It's not dative. When dative is normally an of, this is a genitive. So it's to bring about faith's obedience. So the faith still has to come first. Right? It's to bring about faith's obedience among the Gentiles. If you come to know Christ, if you come to trust in him, you will obey him. Why? Because change has happened.
There's several places you can go to help see this. The Bible equates faith and obedience and
faith without works
and disobedience with unbelief in several places. One is Hebrews 3. There's some in James. The one I always like is Jesus' own words in John 3. So this is Jesus saying, and listen, it's subtle. It's subtle in all these places. They're in a compare and contrast sentence. So in John 3:36, Jesus says, "He who believes in the Son has eternal life, but," so that's a contrast word, "he who does not obey the Son will not see life." And so there you have like a black and like a yin and yang sentence, a comparison, this not this, right? And on either side is believes, right? Which is that? Isn't that? I'm probably sure that's pistos.
Yes.
Believes is compared to disobeying.
That's right. And the NIV changes that to the one who believes and the one who does not believe. But it shouldn't be. It's the one who believes and the one who doesn't or obeys and
believes and does not obey.
Does not obey.
And you see that same thing in Hebrews. You see they did not obey, and so they did not get into the promised land because of their unbelief.
Yeah.
And so their disobedience is equated to unbelief.
Yes. So, and to prove this, let me show you how this works. Sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
Do you love DB?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Good man. How would he know? Does he love you?
Yeah.
Can you trust him?
Yeah.
Do you trust him?
Yeah.
How do you know?
Well, in multiple ways, by words, but also through actions.
Well, words are an action, so words don't hurt, right? So telling me I'm pretty and you love me is probably good for a wife, right?
Right.
Okay, what about actions?
Stuff you do that demonstrates that, like, if you appreciate somebody, it's one thing to say thank you, but it's like, I don't know, another
Is he
thing
gonna come home after work to you?
Uh-huh.
How do you know he's not gonna come home to another woman?
Because there's gonna be nobody else at our house.
Well, he could go to someone else's house. He doesn't have to come home to you.
Yeah, but he wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't. You trust him.
Oh yeah.
And are you gonna go home to another man?
No.
Are you gonna go to the bar on the way and just get drunk and spend all the money?
Nope.
Can he count on you?
Yeah.
These are obviously silly questions, because we know the answers.
Yeah, but they're not, because people don't apply them.
Well, that's right.
to their love of Jesus.
But I think it could be easy to see in a good, loving relationship how obedience and faith make sense. You have two young people who both love each other. It means they both can trust each other, and that is what faith is that loving trust in Christ. And they have loving trust in each other. But then they both prove every day that they have it without even trying by their natural behavior. What do you mean? Why aren't you going home to another man, Sunshine? Well, because I love him, not him. So because of the faith, there is the obedience. Because of the trust, there is the behavior.
And if it was the inverse, if they were married and loved each other, but there wasn't consistent behavior that demonstrated that, you would say, I don't care what you say.
I don't believe you love
me. You don't.
You say you love me, but you don't. And it like that old Willie Nelson song, to all the girls I've loved before. What woman wants to hear that song sung to them, right? To all the girls. Wait a minute, bucko. What do you mean? Hang on there. So you were screwing around on me. So if you trust Christ, you will follow him.
So faith's obedience.
Faith's obedience is what he's looking, and it's good. Like when you do a job, you want to know what success looks like. You want to be able to measure it. And so if he can see a non-Jew obeying and trusting Christ, and then it says, for his name's sake. Okay? By the way, we're still in the same sentence. Now watch how he turns the corner here in verse 6, and he brings it home. Among whom you also are the called of Jesus Christ. So he says, that's you guys. That's you guys. You are the Gentiles. But he didn't bring around the faith to them, did he? But he is complimenting them. He's saying the reason you guys exist is because somebody brought you this message. Maybe that's why he says we. Wasn't me. Someone else brought it, among whom you are. And he calls those people who are in the church the called. Now, when in Christian lingo, if someone's called, we think they're called to ministry, right?
Yeah, but you already covered the effectual call.
Yes.
2 podcasts ago. So.
Yeah, well, we still need to be repetitive on these things. To come to Christ means he calls you. It's not accidental. It's not like sign-ups for midget football or Little League baseball or the soccer team. I'm going to sign up for that. And then the coach comes and finds out, oh, look at all these people who signed up to be in the league. And you don't know who it is. No, it's the opposite. In this case, the coach comes and says, you, I'd like you to be at practice this day. And you're like, I didn't even know I was playing. Well, not only you're playing, you're on the team, and you're playing first base, so get over here. And that is what it's like to come to Christ. You hear the message, and he calls you. Now, you have to respond. You have to say, okay, I'm coming, coach. So... And that's the church. So he's talking to them. And then he says, to all, that's the from, here's the to all who are beloved of God in Rome, called saints. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. We can finally get to the end of one sentence. So he says, this is to you. I'm writing a letter to you. You are loved of God. What a great way to approach the church, to other Christians. Hello, loved of God. And called saints. So what's a saint? What are the many uses of the word saint? Saints can be a football team from New Orleans.
Generally means saved people, Christians, saved people.
They could be, wait a minute.
Holy.
Did you know there's a king named Louis who is a saint? St. Louis. No, for reals. So he was so good.
They named places after him.
No, the Catholic Church canonized him, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So what's a canonized saint?
Ugh.
Come on, man.
If we would go in there.
Listen. There's people listening.
Yeah, I know.
They want to know what Catholic saints are. There's
so
Catholic.
Before
I knew Christ, if you told me someone was a saint, I had a different vision than you have in your head.
Yeah.
Let's clear it up.
Okay, so the word saint means holy, right?
It means holy.
And we know the word holy means set apart, because holy is, what does holy mean, right? That's another Christianese word.
I don't even know what holy
set apart,
means.
different, like
and perfect. There's a perfection to it. There's a sinlessness to it.
Yes. Outside the world, you're different than the normal, nasty, sinful world. You're set apart from the world. So, the Catholic Church views sainthood, which I'll say like capital S, sainthood, as normally posthumously, which means after you die. I don't know if they ever did it when people were alive.
No.
If you were super good in your life.
And you had to have at least one miracle.
Really?
I think there has to be.
I didn't know there was
let
miracles
me look it
involved.
up before I don't want to get it wrong.
But they would canonize you, which canon just means a metric, like a measurement standard.
Yes.
You have to be this good. Like take an apple, right? It's like you have to be a grade A apple to be put in Walmart, and all the grade B ones get turned into applesauce.
I
or
didn't
whatever.
know canon could be used like that.
That's what canon means. Canon is
I learned something
metric.
here if I pay attention.
It's a standard. And so when they canonize someone as a saint, they're saying like this is the standard of human holiness.
And so they get to skip purgatory.
Purgatory.
See, most Catholics are taught that they're not taught, but if they knew what they were taught, it'd freak them out. That they're not going to heaven, they're going to
Purgatory.
which is
they have to burn off or work off their sins, remaining sins and imperfections.
which could take how long?
Long time.
It could take centuries.
Yeah.
So if you're a
1,000
Catholic,
years.
I want you to know that no matter how hard you work, you're probably going to fry for centuries before you get to heaven. It's not in the
purification.
Bible, but hey, you enjoy yourself there.
And so the canonizations, I mean, this is the standard of behavior by which you can go to heaven immediately. That's what sainthood is saying. So you look at someone who, everybody in my generation knows Mother Teresa, who
Yes.
was recently canonized.
Yes.
So she was a nun, which is already good.
Right.
She
It's a win.
forewent getting married and having kids to get married to Jesus, or whatever weird thing
just
they
have an
think of.
awful wardrobe.
Yep.
Just an awful
And then-
wardrobe. How would you like to have that wardrobe, sunshine of a
Didn't
nun?
she just like minister to orphans everywhere?
At least you would know what you're wearing every day.
True. That
You'd
is
have them
nice.
ugly shoes and them.
I hear that's why some people like going to like private schools because then you don't even have to think about
It
what
is
you're
nice.
wearing.
It
'cause
is true, but
you're just in
but they don't
uniform.
wear those all day. They don't wear them on the weekends.
True.
So anyway, Mother Teresa.
But I'd like you to dress like a nun for the whole time you work here. Wouldn't that be great?
You know, I could
I-
institute a dress code.
Yeah, we'll call her the Penguin. Anyway, go on.
So Mother Teresa, as an example,
Took care of dying people in India.
yeah, and I
Started
think
the Sisters of
and orphanage.
Mercy? Sisters of Mercy or something.
I can't remember. I thought she was orphan kids, starving kids everywhere. So it's kind of like this view that you actually see.
The holiness comes out.
I've seen this in the Protestant church too. Of like, I felt this when I first became a Christian. I wasn't doing it right, or I wasn't going hard enough at Christianity if I didn't sell all my possessions, forsake the world, and go move to the jungle and dedicate my whole life to just saving a native people group somewhere. You know what I mean? It's
Like
this,
Paul.
like Paul.
Paul did that. Paul sold out.
Yes.
But
And so that's generally for sainthood in the Catholic Church. If you look at, and that's not always true. There's been a lot of corrupt times. There's a lot of saints that were sainted just because
according to Grok, I looked it up here.
they were rich.
You need yeah, you can buy your way in. You can buy your way out of
Those
purgatory.
Middle Ages,
If
you
you're
could-
rich enough, you don't have to do purgatory.
You could do a lot of things with money.
Especially
1000 AD to 1800.
if you pay for enough masses to be said in the name of a loved one, that person can get out of purgatory. So there's actually a price. Everyone has a price.
All right, what does Grok say?
Reputation for holiness, which I think you nailed. There is a loophole, but normally there's a waiting period of 5 years. It can be waived by the Pope, but you have to be dead for at least 5 years. So your reputation for holiness is, I guess, someone could go, hey, he robbed my store.
He actually slept with a bunch of people.
Yes. Servant of God, local bishops initiates the diocese place investigation into your life, writings, and virtues. So it has to be checked. They actually have investigators who do this, by the way. You have to be venerable. That's third. That means the Vatican reviews the evidence, and if the candidate is found to have lived heroic virtue, exercising faith, hope, charity, and other virtues to an extraordinary degree, the Pope declares that person venerable. So you have to get to venerable first. Then you have to have blessed, which is beatification, which typically requires one verified miracle attributed to the candidate's intercession. That means after death. Wow. Miracles are usually inexplicable healings. I know what they are. Martyrs, those killed in hatred of the faith, no miracle is required. Okay, great. So someone has to be able to attribute a candidate's intercession after death. Does that mean they have to be... I need that to be explained. I don't know if that's good grammar. Finally, saint canonization requires a second verified miracle post-beatification for non-martyrs. The Pope then canonizes the person. I'm going to ask, explain numbers 4 and 5 more clearly.
Can't we just say this is not what the word actually means?
No, now I'm really
and move
into
on.
this. No, I need to know
so
this.
So tired of the Roman Catholic
dude. You have to
explanation stuff.
I'm not. This is exciting. This is exciting stuff.
You say that's not really what it means.
Blessed.
Let's go to the next verse.
Okay, canonization. The second miracle must have occurred after. So someone has to pray to him or something.
Yeah.
To get to you gotta be dead and still pull off a miracle, proving you're up in heaven.
You gotta be like It's a Wonderful Life, the angel, whatever his name is.
It's funny because Erica Kirk. No, it wasn't Erica. Was it Erica Kirk? No, it was. So I think she might have said she prayed to Charlie, which is stupid. No offense, Erica. Maybe she thought if you pray to...
It depends on what you mean by pray to. I mean, I think you can talk to him.
I think she's a Catholic. I think she...
Oh.
If you pray... Because if you pray to him and he's burning in purgatory, he doesn't get to hear it.
Yeah, but if that ain't true.
He might hear it?
No, there's no purgatory.
Well, I'm going with their scheme.
I know. But it's not
true. So
if
he's in purgatory,
so
he's
not
like,
in purgatory,
I can hear you. There's nothing I can do. I'm on fire.
Now, I don't know that.
But
I don't know that people have any
you
sway
have
in heaven.
You have to test to see if the person is in heaven by talking to him there. And if he talks to Jesus, anyway, so you can see.
But I wouldn't. People can hear you in heaven. Whether or not they can influence how anything happens.
You don't know that.
I think so.
But you don't know that.
Yes, I do.
How do you know whether people can hear you in heaven?
Hebrews 12.
No. The so great a cloud of witnesses does not mean they're all actually seeing you. We don't know if they can see. We don't even know if that's figurative language. Look. Do you
all right,
think
you can believe what you want.
Do you think they're all up there watching everybody? How many eyeballs they got?
I don't think they have to be watching.
Oh, they could drop in on you.
It says, and then there's the parable, which is a parable, or I don't know if it's a parable, but
it doesn't matter.
There's several places in the Bible where it's at least implied heavily.
Let's go with it's possible.
That there's conscious opportunity to witness earthly people.
Let's go with
the spiritual realm.
It's possible if God enables it. In all seriousness, you can't just say...
I agree it's possible.
You cannot just say...
You would have to agree it's at least implied. I'm not saying it's explicitly stated. It's implied in several places.
Hebrews 12, I think, is weaker than you do. I think so great...
It literally calls them witnesses.
You don't know if they've seen it yet or they're going to see it at the judgment day. All you know is the whole point of that text is you're in a gang of faithful people. Don't let them down. It doesn't say... Because you got to think about this. Let's say there's 100 or like 500 million solid Christians on the earth. Maybe there's 1 billion. And you're up in heaven. You can't watch all them. You can't. If they all say, Will.
You're making a necessity. You're drawing a leap that does not need to be required.
First, the point is, you don't know. You don't know. You don't know that you can hear from heaven. But the point is, if you could, maybe you should pray to saints. No, I'm just kidding. Do not pray to saints. But listen to me. There are saints for every day of the year.
I know.
But now we're going to go back to our text. And he says, to all who are beloved of God in Rome, called saints. So it turns out that everything we just said about the Catholics is mumbo jumbo, not true.
Yeah, all who are beloved of God.
The word is
are called
hagios.
saints.
I love saying that word.
Hagios.
Yes. Now, if you write a biography of a person and you make everything about him sound good, it's called a hagiog. I can't say the word, but it's hagiography, right? If somebody says, well, it's a hagiography, what they're saying is you didn't show the bad parts of the guy. You are now in Christ as holy as Jesus Christ is holy. And you say, well, I don't feel that way. Well, 1 John says, or you're of the devil. It's one or the other. Our holiness is complete because our sinful person died. And dead people can't break the law, and they have no sins against them. Our sinful person died on the cross. You are as holy now as any miracle-working Mother Teresa was on earth. You're as holy as her because our holiness is a gift from God. And so you're a saint right now. And any other use of the word saint in its context may mean whatever it means to those people, but it's not what the Bible means when it says saints. If you have a loved one who's died, that person's a saint. Now, I wouldn't pray to that person, but Will would. But no, because he says they're up there listening to you. But anyway, all are called saints.
They certainly might be.
Now, this is I'm going to say just a blessing, so I'm not going to spend time on it. It doesn't mean it's a bad blessing. Grace to you and peace. It's a blessing. He finally gets to shalom. That's really the dear Romans is that little phrase. Grace to you and peace. Grace from God and peace be upon you, shalom, like a good Jew would say. From God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Notice he elevates Christ to the level of God the Father. Oh my gosh.
We got 2 sentences.
Boom. I'm going to go through the next really fast. Ready?
We are?
Well, we don't have to. Okay,
There's no way you're going to.
I'm going to wear the people out, aren't I? I don't want to wear people out, but that was the first 7 verses. We'll have to we'll go a little faster on 8 through 15, but I don't.
Yeah, see, if I was doing this, I'd be 60 miles an hour, baby.
Well, I've done it every speed. I think if you took verse 1 to 7 and you went out in the woods alone and spent 2 or 3 hours walking around, sitting down, just meditating on these verses one by one, and let the Lord just show you things, I think he would blow your socks off. That may be the best introduction to a letter in the Bible right there. Those first 7 verses. It's loaded. We'll start in verse 8 next time.
Let me write that down.
But I got to talk a little bit about well, you want to talk about something today too, didn't you? Did you say you want to talk about the name? I have 2 things down here. Did you want to talk about Natrona Heights or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth to talk about a little bit.
Okay.
Because I just don't want it. I feel like.
So we at Harvest we have
5 locations currently.
No, as of today we have 4.
Down to 4.
We had 5 for a little bit. We grew to meeting in 4 locations. Then we added another, but we don't consider them. I don't know how to say
different
this.
Churches.
We're one church in 4 locations, and we believe that. And we work as a plurality of elders. So, for example, in our Natrona Heights campus, we had Pastor Vince there, and Jim had stepped off, so there was only one elder there. You say there's no plurality. Well, yes, there is, because that is our church, and there's 30-something elders, and it's part of our church. And we met there hoping to give a healthy home for many people who would come from that area.
Yeah.
But after several pastors and 4 years in that town and 5 or 6 years in Freeport.
It's a total of 10 years, 2015 to 2025. Now there's moving around in there. It never
became a place where a lot of the locals said, this is our church. So we decided the resources are best used elsewhere, which I think is a good thing. I'm very excited about the fact that we're in a church that can see that and make that change. And of course, that leads to good things for Pastor Vince. He's still with us, and it's good things for the folks there because they may miss meeting in that particular way, but they can they're still part of Harvest, and they can come back in. And so the future looks bright there. But we had to pull back because you got to make decisions based on resources. And the human resources are not to be underestimated. When we set aside a pastor, I don't want to talk numbers too much because I don't want to give out. When you talk about how much people get paid, and we're not going to talk about how anyone got paid, but if you're in a church, you go, how come he gets that much money and I make this? Well, you're 20, so you don't make any money. You got a guy who's this age, he makes more, and he goes, how come he gets paid that little? And everyone compares themselves, and they can't figure it out. But let's look at it this way. If you call a guy to do this full time, he has to feed his family, and it costs money. And the money's okay. We like spending that. But you also we attach that money to a very good man.
Yeah.
And then you were saying, work here. And to choose to do that, you have to say, you're not going to work over here.
Yeah.
And you're not going to work over there.
Yeah.
And so you got to think strategically. How can we best minister to the most people? Because more people is our goal. We want more people in heaven, more people in a healthy church. But that's not the only one. Then you also have any other paid people, and there's a couple part-timers. Then you have all the people who aren't paid, who go to that church. They also are working for the Lord there. And if you just keep trying and nothing goes, the right thing to do is to say a lot of resources going here. It doesn't seem to be working. We're not going to tell God where He has to bless. Let's move our resources elsewhere, especially since there's another great church really nearby, Redemption Church, which is a church we love. So if the locals there ever did think, hey, we want to go to a healthy church, they have one. It just won't be Harvest, at least not now. So we made that decision. And on the other hand, at the same time, having nothing to do with that, by the way, completely unrelated to that, we've always wanted to put a campus in
New Bethlehem.
Thank you. And by the way, we'd rather have thriving campuses in both places. So this has nothing to do with it, but to show what we're doing there, because we know that although there's some churches there, and we've made friends there, and there's a couple ones we really like, but the way we do church, we think appeals to a lot of de-churched people.
Yes.
People who don't go to church because they don't want a certain style. Perhaps a very consistent style, church after. In other words, if you live in a small town in the country,
you're going to get small town country church.
And they're very similar. Whether you're going into the Lutheran or the Church of God, or whether you're going into the Methodist
church,
or the Baptist, you know what you're getting. You know the hymns you're going to sing. You know the way and I'm not against that. I'm not saying anything negative about that. But it has led to a lot of people, especially younger people, say, I don't want to go to church. Now that my mom ain't making me, I ain't going, or my grandma. And the way we do it, we have the same doctrine, but we're going to go in and say, hey, we're different. We dress in these clothes even when we preach. We drink coffee and have cookies, and we have fun, and we play modern music. And so we've started meeting up in New Bethlehem, and there's a place called Zach's, a family called the Blows, and they have a great facility. And we really love Zach and his mom and dad, and the ones we've met. I don't want to leave anyone out, so I won't name anybody, but they got a great facility, and right now that's where we are. And Zach can cook. I mean, it's not just a pretty face. I mean, he can cook. He actually runs a catering business, and we decided to give him a go. And by having our team wanted to get together and have a big pizza party. I wasn't part of it because I'm not the pastor there, and I was busy. But Pastor Chris was handling that, and I came up afterwards, and he made these homemade, as we call them in New York, pizzas, and first I had some right there lukewarm, but then I took some home, and the next day heated them in the microwave. It was better than most pizzas you get fresh out of the oven.
Yeah.
I mean, Mel's, I love fresh out of the oven. Wasn't better than Mel's. I don't want people at Mel's getting mad at me. I love Mel's and Katanning. But it was just outstanding pizza, which has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I got food sidetracks me very quickly.
Natrona to New Bethlehem to pizza.
I love pizza. Anyway, but it's real exciting up there. If you know anyone in that area looking for a church, all the way up, I guess from Brookville down to New Bethlehem, just send them over to Zach's. Right now we're meeting at night, 6 p.m., but we hope to go to daytime soon, to Sunday mornings. Stay tuned. We'll tell you when. But it's really fun out there, and we hope to grow, and we hope to plant another campus. We don't know where. Did you want to say anything about Natrona Heights? You brought it up, and then I did all the talking.
Well, you brought it up for me and then did all the talking.
Well, you had said it earlier.
No, it's just, you on the spot. I just wanted to acknowledge it, right? We announced it to the whole church, sent an email. I think we talked about it from the stage briefly. As you're hearing this, we had our last weekend service there. And
you had a nice warm meeting.
Yeah,
yeah. Meal.
We had a last meal together. We talked about, stories about the church and just what God had done there. And God did a lot of awesome work at church.
It's amazing.
It was a very important place in my Christian walk. That was the Harvest Church that I got baptized out of, first started getting involved in the church. It's the same for a lot of people there. So God did a lot of awesome stuff. We added
some good folks through that.
And it's like all things in life. What do the Buddhists say? The only constant thing is change.
Wait, but we're not going to be Buddhists.
I know,
for the record.
But it's still a truism.
Yeah. Well, it proves that we're not a building.
And so
we are a people.
You be thankful for the times God gave you in the places He gave you them, and you just look forward to the next awesome thing. I think about it because I'm a parent experiencing my first child, so my first go at different ages, and you just love every age. Like right now, you're like, oh, they're learning to walk, and it's so great.
They can't be any cuter.
Yeah, and then
they are,
and then all of a sudden they are, and so you can't be sad about what's behind. You be thankful for what you were gifted and enjoy the moment that you're in, and look forward to what God's going to give you in the future. You haven't had to go through this yet.
Maybe you have with your grandparents. Have you lost a beloved house in your family before?
My wife and I's first house we really liked.
Okay, so your personal house, and then wait till your parents.
I know
shed the mortal coil, as they say, and I don't want to bring up that
my
negative
childhood
thing.
home. You mean?
Obviously, their parents are more important than the house, but that really becomes clear when they're gone and you have their house.
Somebody else buys it, and you're like, "This isn't my house
anymore." Right, and
never coming back here for Christmas.
But you also know because the valuable thing has left. And your beloved, the love of the familiar is still there. But we do have some folks who, no doubt, I mean, if you were going to that campus, you went there because you wanted to.
Yeah.
And now something has been lost. But I think it's all for good. I think the Lord always has a plan. And you hope everything you do just takes off. Churches that hold on to place and programs will kill you. Wednesday night, Sunday morning is the traditional old-timey way to do church. And when I went to First Baptist Church, we did that as a pastor. It was Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, and Sunday school. It wasn't long till I got really tired of these things, and I felt guilty because I wanted to kill them, get rid of. And I think I got rid of one of them and changed the other, and then got rid of it. I don't remember why, because no one was going, and I mean a few people, but the reason to do the event became the program. The program shouldn't lead. And a church that says, well, we have to do this, we always do this, but no one
can't get rid of it because this is our MO.
But no one's excited about it. It's not. Paul says, I was trying to bring about the obedience of faith's obedience. I knew what success looked like. He didn't say I wanted a program for faith class, and I want to always make sure someone goes to it. The program often becomes the church, or the building becomes the church. And I think when either of those things happen, you're missing the mark. And so sometimes you have to make decisions, and they're not always easy, but you got to make them. So anyway, that said.
There you go. That was it. I just didn't,
You didn't want to pass by without saying anything.
It was worthy of acknowledging, and because it's important years for a lot of people at Harvest, myself included, and I am excited for the future. I still see the Lord is just continuing to bless us. We are certainly not in retreat. That's the other thing I don't want people to think. Like,
we had our biggest service ever
it was
in the history
crazy.
of church.
Christmas was crazy.
Christmas Eve, we had. Now I don't know
if the fire marshal had been here, he would have
No.
loved us because we
loved us.
definitely respected.
We had one less person than we were allowed
Absolutely.
to have.
It was.
And I swear. I don't know how many people.
I do.
But does that count right? Because the first count seemed higher than the number of chairs we have, isn't it?
No, I personally brought out many metal chairs.
The metal chairs that people didn't sit in.
No, there was 4 rows of metal chairs in the back.
Oh, in the back.
You could see there was chairs jammed everywhere.
We ran out of candles.
It was like 6:30, I think, 6:50, something like that.
No one wanted to go to the second service. Well, over 300 people went to the second Christmas Eve service, which for us is a full house. That feels full to us. But it felt like no one, because the first service had 680 people at it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we do next year. We don't have another building. We'll
more services.
But no, because they won't spread themselves out.
I know. Somebody told me more services. I said, yeah, but they're just going to pick
They're going to go
the
to
one.
that first one. So what you got to do is use 2 sanctuaries. But in any case, those are measurements that now obviously when you have, we had how many people in the building? 900 that day.
Almost 1,000.
1,000 people that day in this building, and then
they were big in Indiana and PVC
and
New Bethlehem,
and we even had some folks in Natrona Heights.
Yeah, it was huge. It was
probably our biggest day. Normally Easter is your biggest, and so Easter we could get mobbed.
We've never not beaten Christmas with Easter in the same year, same Christian calendar year.
Now, obviously, many people who come on Easter and Christmas. There could be guests from other churches who are visiting family. They could be people who don't necessarily see church as a thing, but out of love and respect for their family members, they accept the invitation and go, and that's perfectly legitimate. So we don't expect them all to show up the following week, which they don't. We get that. But it does reflect an increase in the number of regulars, people committed to your church.
Yeah, because it's proportional to people who are inviting.
Yes, and
you need people to invite to have guests show up.
So we're excited about that, and
so it's not a step backwards. That's the other thing.
No, it isn't, and we want to make disciples. We've got all kinds of great stuff coming at the beginning of this year, which has already started. What week is this? Is this coming out?
The second week in January, I think.
Is this before or after Bert talks?
Before.
Oh, great. So make sure if you're listening to this, you go to church. Our founding pastor, the church planner who planted this church, is going to be here to speak.
January 17th, I think.
And the purpose.
17th is a Saturday.
18th.
16th
and 18th.
And is he going to drive up to New Bethlehem too, right? All right.
Well,
we'll see if he's
we're
game.
going to convince him.
We're going to see if Bert can keep up with the old man. Is he older than me? Or are we the same age?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I think we're the same age.
You're just both in the category of old to me.
Yeah, we are. So, but we're really excited to have him. We're hoping to get him scheduled for
venerable. I meant
venerable.
You're both in the category
we're
of venerable.
Moving up to saint, baby. If we could just get a miracle, and then after I die, could you pray to me?
I will.
I'll do a miracle.
And I will prove to you that you can hear me.
And I hope to have Bert sitting right here next to us, and we're going to let him talk all he wants, and let God keep working. The church.
You're going to try to get him on a podcast?
Yeah, we need to do that.
Well,
right,
we're talking
Sunshine?
to him this afternoon, so
yeah. the weekend he's here, if he can stay over till our recording time, if not, we could perhaps do
We
a different.
can move our recording time.
Okay, well,
She's the
we got to
best.
talk to him this afternoon.
By the way, you guys don't know it, but she makes sure it all goes. And okay, so hey, I want to do a little bit in the news. Two things are happening right now, which one of them, I don't know if you know this, but Iran. I've been watching Iran on X for the last 2 days straight. I just check it all day long to see what's going on. And that may be done.
I do not do that with my time.
By the time this comes out, I can't help it. I will take out my phone and say, I wonder if anything, because I keep expecting this could.
I got an X account because I want to be more like you.
No, don't be like me. You be like you.
I have never. I don't look at it.
I kind of like the fact that that you don't know anything happening in the news.
I know nothing.
That way, I can check it for you and tell you.
Mike is my news source.
Well, like right
where
now,
do you get your news?
I just
Mike
opened this up.
Griner.
It said disturbing scenes are emerging of young Iranians being detained by security forces. So and
Ooh,
what's
they getting
happening?
too Christian or something?
No,
Getting too democratic.
no, they are marching all over the doggone place trying to end the Islamic regime right now.
Good.
I mean, it's been going on for 2 days, and everyone is expecting the Islamic forces to come start shooting everybody. Hasn't
That
quite.
might be the best thing. That's a really weird thing to say.
Yeah.
An incident like that could be the firecracker. It's like the Boston Massacre.
Now, that's 6 hours ago. Here's one 1 hour ago. Oh, wait, that's the wrong place. That's England. Here's one sideways. Come on, dude. Get your thing. Right now, there's some. It's all over the place right now. And the funny thing is, I saw a story on it, so I looked it up. It's not. It doesn't come up on my X feed. You got to go and find it. The news you want to know, you can find if you know to look for it. ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS. Nobody's covering it that much, but I don't know if they're going to be able to ignore it. Why they don't cover it, I don't know.
Yeah. Because you'd think it's like
It's this
in
big
the
deal.
pro-American vibe, right? It's like the
Tell you what, us old guys, and I'm going to play the age card. Well, you know the 9/11 card, right? You remember 9/11?
yeah.
Okay.
Remember where I was?
Yes.
Marshall Barkley's pre-algebra class in 7th grade.
Okay, so in 1979, I was in the 10th grade when Iran, the mullahs took over. I mean, Iran has not been this Muslim, everybody wears a burqa thing my whole life.
No.
That's when they took, and I'd never heard of Iran. I couldn't find Iran on a map. I mean, I'd actually heard of it because I had friends whose parents had been stationed there. We used to have a military base in Iran, and I had friends, but I didn't know where it was. I just knew it was there, and that's why I called it Iran, because that's how military kids call it, because that's what it was. But then once it came on TV, it was Iran, and it changed its name to Iran because that's how Americans talk, and so all of a sudden Iran was on the TV because when they did it, they at the University of Tehran, they took all the Americans who were on the staff in that area, or they took them hostage. In 1979, it was on TV. We had 50-something hostages, I think, and they stayed hostages.
Yeah, we got that great Ben Affleck movie out of it.
Actually, there is a Ben Affleck movie about it, and America was weak. We felt weak. Carter couldn't get them out no matter what he did.
Because Carter's
We had
weak.
pictures of Americans blindfolded. We had pictures of men walking on the street hitting themselves with straps, Muslims, which is something they do sometimes, and saying death to America. And this is all normal stuff now, but this was the first time for all of us. None of us knew what Islam was. None of us understood why they hated us. And there were our people taken hostage. And Iran has been, I didn't know anything about Iran then. Now I understand much more, but I've had a lot of years to learn more. That it's not a Muslim nation. It's Persian. It has Muslims there. Many Arabs come to help them out. But it's still a good number of them, but it's still maybe 10% of the population is Muslim, but they took over and they force everyone to live by these strict standards. And they really are evil. No matter what Tucker Carlson tells you, they did want to blow up the world. They do want to kill Israel. And they're behind a good bit of the terror that happens all over the world. And now they're getting squeezed. Ever since Israel took out Hamas and Hezbollah, which all the lefties said, we shouldn't hurt Gaza. Well, they've taken out all these bad guys, and they're cutting off all the funds that Iran had going in or out. This Venezuelan oil thing that's being squeezed. Iran can't make any money unless they can sell their oil. And we know what's happening in Venezuela, but trust me, Trump is working the other end of that too. He doesn't want oil going to Russia from Iran either, secretly. And so they're being starved. Get this, just to give you an understanding. If you were to go to India with $1, how many rupees would that get you? You know, like this.
88.
88 rupees, which means food is cheap there. Mm-hmm. You can eat for nothing. 88 rupees. The rupee isn't strong. I think they call it the rial in Iran was 77 to the dollar just a couple years ago. So it was about as strong as the rupee. Wasn't strong, but it was money.
Yeah, it wasn't African money.
Look it up right now.
42,000.
Is it? No, it's 1,400,000 reals to the dollar.
No, it's, well.
Look it up.
I am looking.
What's it say?
It says 42,000
no,
Iranian rial. That's 42,042 Iranian rials to $1 right now.
Okay, yesterday it was 1.4 million. So I don't know if it got better.
Yeah, I mean that's on a.
What is the?
That's on exchange rates, like official exchange rates.
Well, I think it's worse. Iranian.
Which is still bad. I mean, 42,000 is really bad. Like if you're.
Oh yeah.
Like we were joking. Like my cousin got his son a gift. It's a $1 billion note from like, I can't even remember. This is the Congo or something. Like when you start having to make dollar bills have $1 billion.
Okay, here it is.
$1 billion
right here.
On them.
PBS. It fell to 1.38 million to the dollar. I don't know why it's coming up 42,000. And that's PBS.
Yeah.
Currency collapse pushes protesters.
Well, it could be if it's in the middle of collapsing that the official exchange rates don't catch up that fast.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Nevertheless, either way, their economy doesn't exist. And the people are finally saying, hey, maybe now we can get rid of these guys. It's one of the most exciting things happening in the world right now. The world is changing so fast. Alberta, Canada is petitioning now, and this is not serious. This is serious. Alberta, Canada is going to be voting over the next. I think they have like 2 months to collect signatures.
Succeeding? Are they?
Yes, they're voting to succeed from Canada and be their own independent nation.
That would be freaking awesome.
Especially because they're the wealthiest state or province, and they're generally conservatives.
Yes.
So if
Calgary and Edmonton.
And if they became their own nation, the United States, Trump would recognize them faster than a hound on a biscuit.
Yeah, because Canada's turning into a freaking totalitarian hellhole.
Yeah, well, then, get this, if that happens, Quebec will do it. Now, Quebec is a lefty place, but they speak French, and they've always wanted to be on their own. They do not want to be with the English speakers. Canada could fall apart right in front of us.
That would be awesome. Because
then we
could absorb them.
Things you think.
We want none of it.
We want none of it.
That's a joke. There's a territory called None of It.
No. Is there?
Yeah. Nunavit.
Oh, where's
that? It's the one above the Hudson Bay.
Well,
that's the one that has the North Pole.
I don't know what I'm going to do with none of it if I had it. Maybe I don't want none of it.
None of it's the gray part.
Oh, I don't want none of it. You can have it. Actually, though, if you look at the world from the top, now, you flat earthers, this won't work for you. But if you look at the globe from the top, it's a very small distance between those little places at the top and Alaska and Russia.
Well, that's why anytime
we really want to control
China,
the top of the earth.
Anytime you go over there, if you're going to the opposite side of the world, you go over the top because it's actually pretty close.
But you can see why strategically Trump is saying we need Greenland and we need Canada and we need, because if you look,
you can shoot missiles to China from Greenland.
Yes,
just bloop.
Or Russia. Russia's right there. Scandinavia's right there. Everything from the top, the world looks different.
Yeah.
But I do want to show you a video because I know you don't know, you don't watch the news, so this will be old news by the time this comes out. But the Somalis in Minnesota are just acting the fool. They're acting the fool.
Acting the fool.
They're acting the fool. They've been shipped over to Minnesota, and I just got to show you. Could you show this short video? Show the short video, Sunshine, so that we can catch Top Shelf Will up on current events in his country.
I love being caught up.
Here in Minnesota, massive fraud is taking place within the government and the Somali population. Here, this building alone, Quality Learning Center, is a daycare, yet they spelled learning wrong, and they said leering. This daycare alone in 2025 has received $1.9 million from the government. And the strange things about these childcare centers is there's no one here right now. It's midday on a weekday. And if you were to try to go inside, it's completely closed and the windows are all blacked out. No one's working, midday. Children should be in here. And this place is licensed for 99 children. And this is the outside. There's no windows, no nothing. And like I said, they literally spelt the word wrong on their sign. This is open and blatant fraud taking place here inside of Minnesota. The government is complicit with this, and this is just one of the hundreds of child daycare centers here inside of Minneapolis being ran by the Somali population. It's sad that it's happening here in Minnesota, and it stinks that it's happening and it's being labeled on the Somali population. However, that's just the facts of what's happening here inside of Minnesota. $1.9 million for this daycare center that can't even spell learning right.
Okay, now I'm just starting this out. I'm going to show you a little bit more, but that's a little clip. This young man, Nick Shirley, did a 42-minute video that has 110 plus million views yesterday.
Wow.
Exposing this. And the thing
on X.
The thing that's amazing is ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS, none of them are covering this. But here's the power of literally independent journalism. He's just going knocking on doors. And he's doing what they should do. He has the attention. J.D. Vance has now watched the video and says we're on this. Kash Patel says we're on this. There is so much corruption going on in Minnesota, and the only person giving it to telling the people are individual. Now, I do want to say this to anyone listening. Anyone could be a journalist. Anyone can tell the news, and it's worth it to do it. Could you throw that still shot up before you hit start so everyone can see it? Can they see that? See that guy there in the vest? This is a worker from Minnesota who's been trying to be a whistleblower for years, and he's collected all this data on Somali ripoff centers. Now, the Somali government isn't doing it on their own. This is with the help of Governor Walz and Ilhan Omar. They fly these people over. They hook them into various government welfare programs, sign up the people, collect checks, and do nothing. And I just want to show you some of this 42-minute video. And we can stop whenever we get bored. But I just want to give you a flavor. Go ahead and hit it. This is his more produced one.
Hello, we'd like to ask where the money's going. What do you guys think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
I don't think anybody is enabling fraud to happen.
Hold Governor Walz accountable for this.
What was this money spent on? 1.26 million. What was that money spent on? There aren't any kids.
Answer the question. Are there children? There's no children inside this building.
But
Potentially the largest fraud scandal in U.S. history is taking place in Minnesota, as literally billions of dollars have been funneled through Somali-ran fraudulent businesses. So much fraud, it could actually almost replace the entire GDP of Somalia. These fraudsters have worked hand in hand with the Minnesota government as they enabled billions of dollars to be given to fraudulent businesses underneath welfare purposes. Some of this money eventually landed in the hands of terrorist groups in Somalia like the Al-Shabaab, and others enriched themselves all at the US taxpayers' expense. And in this video we will break down all of the fraud from start to finish, from going to the fraudulent businesses and confronting the people who are making millions of dollars from the government. And we will also be confronting the incompetent government leaders who let this fraud happen. And to make this happen, I met up with a man who's been doing his own investigation for years now, as he has seen the fraud firsthand. His name is David. Let's get into this and be prepared to be shocked. How deep is this fraud here inside of Minnesota?
It is far worse than anybody can imagine. You heard it's 7 to 10 billion and maybe more, and now the numbers have been revised and put out there publicly that they think it's more like 8 billion. How I got involved is that where my office is here in Minneapolis, I'm sort of in the heart of all of this fraud, and I would see these child care centers. I said, well, there aren't any kids there. It's the middle of the day, and all I see are a couple of guys standing out front smoking. And then I'd go by another daycare and I'd see the same thing. I said, well, where do these kids play? And so I started to go online and look, and I said, this place is licensed for 80 children. They had 0 children. Every time I went by there, they never had a single child there. Then I started to see all these transportation companies going around, and it was always a Somali driver. And I said, well, that's great. They're out there transportation, contributing, but they never had a passenger, never, ever once. And I said, well, what is all this transportation? What are they doing? So then I found out that in Minnesota, they have something called non-emergency medical transportation. So this is going to the dentist's office, therapy, whatever it might be. And I said, well, how many of these companies are there? And the research came back that there are 1,020 of them, and more than 800 of them are Somali-owned. Nobody from the state of Minnesota ever cross-checks to see if any rides were ever actually provided. All they did was write the check.
So right here we have all this paperwork. And how are you getting all this information about the fraud?
A lot of it is through my own research, and then I have some contacts at the Capitol going back many, many years. And so the data that I'm getting is 100% accurate, coming directly from research done by people at the state Capitol.
All this paperwork right here, what are we looking at?
The areas of fraud that I have numbers for
Don't stop it,
are
but just
mostly
turn them
related
down for a
to
minute.
child care.
Can you just turn them down so that no one can hear them at home? But let it play. Just let it play. So that kid. Well, I mean, how do you react to what's happening in our country
It just makes me really mad.
that he's the only one covering it?
He is. There's so many facets to be upset about. It's reminiscent to me of Doge and Elon Musk. Just like that, there's no follow up, not even the slightest bit of follow up for taxpayer dollars.
But get this:
that nobody would cover this except this guy.
If you take care of cows in Pennsylvania,
they'll come make sure they got their vaccine.
If you're putting seeds in the ground, if you're digging a pond, if you're making money off of farming, somebody's going to come from the government and make sure you do it right, to make sure if you build a little shack, they're going to come and measure it to make sure they get their taxes. Mm-hmm. But these guys here...
But when they're giving your tax dollars out...
Anyway, turn them back up again. I just wanted...
It's just maddening.
And a lot of these same names keep coming up on all of these different types of businesses. And then, of course, we have the transportation, and a lot of those same names appear, a lot of the same addresses. There's one building that has 14 Somali healthcare companies at the same address. There's another building in St. Paul that has 22 Somali healthcare businesses at the same address.
What this kid does is he interviews this guy, and then he takes him on the road and he goes and knocks on doors. CBS News, 60 Minutes doesn't do this. ABC News doesn't do this. CNN, these people who say they care, to tell you the truth, they do not care. And people who take your tax money do not care where that money goes. Government taxes.
I'm looking on X now, and they're now finding the same thing in Ohio.
And you know what? After this, some guy found in Washington State, he said there's like 70 or so many Somali childcare. Could you fast forward him a little bit till he gets to they're not in that office anymore? I don't know how far you got to go. Where they're actually knocking on some doors. Okay, here we go. They're in the car.
Fiscal year 2024, they got about 800,000, and in fiscal year 2023, they got $904,059. This place right here. Yes.
$5 million bucks.
Well, this is
By the
actually
way,
two
we run a
daycares are
daycare.
registered here. One of them is Mako, which you
it's
see on the
hard to
sign.
make ends meet
The other one is
and still
Mini
take care of
Child
the
Care
kids.
Center. And between the two of these child care centers, they're pulling in about $3 million a year. And there are no children. Every facility you go to, the windows will be blocked out so you can't see in. There's nobody here. You won't see a single child at any of these facilities.
There are indeed no windows. All the windows are blacked out right here. All right, let's go in. And the child care center is locked. Should we ring the doorbell? Yeah. Try to get in, rang the doorbell. Nobody showed up. They're open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. it says here on their sign, yet there's absolutely nobody here. And this building here, right here, has generated millions of dollars
a year.
And it seems like business isn't even open right now, and it's a weekday. And if this was a daycare center, it wouldn't just be in some industrialized building. There would be maybe like a playground or something outside, or...
There's no play area for the kids. So where are the kids? Where's anybody? How can there be nobody here? And it's like this every single day. I've never seen a single child here. In 9 years, I've never seen a single child at this building. Right there.
Oh, then now it looks like we already got the Somalis coming through.
Yeah, they're coming. The word's out.
Hello, is this your daycare?
Confrontation.
No, can you tell us why there are no children? Have you ever seen children at this child care center?
Doesn't know if she's ever seen a child here. All right, let's go to the next location. Now we're going to the next daycare center. How much money has this one generated?
This one, in fiscal year 2025, $1,042,059.
Oh my goodness.
In fiscal year 2024, $1,059,078. And in fiscal year 2023, $727,336.
This next one is literally 1 block away, and this one's also generated nearly $3 million in the past 3 years.
$8 million fraud
see if any of the buildings are open. Here we go. All right, we've arrived to ABC Learning Center. All the windows are blacked out. Let's see if anybody
This kid's
is
fearless,
here.
by the way. Whenever people confront him, he never
This
loses
door
temper.
is locked.
Oh, you start
This
pushing
facility
on
is licensed for
people's
40 children.
pocketbooks.
0 children. I've come by this
A lot
place
of people
100 times.
online have
I've never
started
seen a
contributing
child
to
here,
his security.
ever. The only thing I've ever seen
He
is
says,
someone
"I don't
standing
care about the
outside
money at all."
smoking.
What's crazy about this is
not why I'm
that
here.
last daycare center is that green building right there. And the other daycare center right now is right here. These buildings should be operating as they're receiving
It's a lot of
literally
daycare centers for
millions
one block.
of dollars.
I knocked on the door, and to my surprise, somebody actually answered the door.
Hello? Can we speak? I would like to check a child in the daycare.
Why?
Can I speak to a manager? Where can I get paperwork to file for my son? I wanted to put my son Joey in daycare.
And after a few questions, the lady went silent.
Looks like little Joey Shirley ain't going to daycare here. And now where are we going?
Now we're going to Sweet Angel Child Care.
We're in the middle of a strip mall here inside of this neighborhood.
In fiscal year 2025, this facility, which says it's licensed for 74 kids, was paid $1.26 million in tax money.
By the way, you could do
And there
this
are no
in
kids,
Armstrong
and all
County
the
or Butler
facilities
County.
are
If
the
you
same
know
way.
corruption,
All over.
you and
Let's
a
see if
friend
anyone
go out
opens.
and take a video. For goodness
Once
sake,
again,
we got
I
to
tried to
stop
find
the
a spot
governments
for
from
my
doing
son
bad
Joey,
Well,
things.
it's
and they would
just
not
I
open
don't
the
even
door.
know. I'm trying not to.
I want to put my son
You
Joey
should
in
get
daycare.
upset because
Because I need a
you
spot
know,
to put my
but if
son
the
Joey.
people
Our
weren't
currency is about to go bust. We got
Is this your daycare
120%
center?
debt to GDP ratio. We
I just want to put
more
a child in
than-
daycare, but all the
You
daycare
know-
centers
You just
seem to
know
be
that
closed.
this is how all of our money's being
No one's
spent.
opening
You
the
know
doors.
it. This is
Just
the way
set it
the
on
government.
fire.
That's what
Where's
that
kids?
USAID thing was.
It says it's licensed for
America
74
deserves-
Thing
children.
is, if you say you're helping
Collapse.
Right here,
kids
state of
or you're giving
Minnesota, where are
people
the kids?
rides, and
They
you
got
say, "Well,
paid
I'm against that,"
$1.26
well, you
million
hate
in
kids.
fiscal year 2025. It says they have a capacity for 74 children.
When?
Where are the kids? Right here. State of Minnesota website. You work here and you don't know?
I don't know. I was there before. I don't know what's going on.
Were there any kids when you worked here?
He's there. Kids there. What's
How
up?
many?
I don't know. I
You don't know.
Yeah.
You worked here.
lying.
Okay, well then you're not of any help.
Can I put my son in a daycare here?
No, I don't know.
Can I speak to someone?
No, I don't know.
No. Yeah, I would like to see if I can put my son Joey here.
Who's your son, Joey?
My son Joey. Can I check out daycare center?
No! You're a liar. I'm the owner.
Do you put your kid here in this daycare?
No.
There is one child in there. Yeah, I'd like to know if this is a legit business.
Me, I'm scared of you too. How come I explain you everything?
You're scared of me?
Yeah.
Why?
Because of your curry.
Because of my color. You said you're scared of me because of my color. Does that make you a racist?
Yeah, no.
But
no.
you said you're scared of me because of my color.
I'm not saying you're racist.
You said you're scared of me because of my color. That makes you a racist. So right now,
This is my
they're all
tax
getting mad
money.
because he's showing the
I
paperwork
don't
of this
know that.
business being registered as a business. 74 children,
I've
no
lived my
children.
whole life
We
here.
saw one child when the lady opened up the door.
Wow.
So
But now
where did
they're
this
all
money
getting
go?
mad.
What was this money spent on? 1.26 million. What was that money spent
ask
on?
the owner.
There aren't any kids.
Ask the owner and the kids.
Well, then why are you talking
That's
for
not
the
my
owner
proof.
if you're
That's
telling me
not
to
my
talk
proof.
to the owner?
I'm sorry. I'm not understand what you're talking about.
Do you have a child here?
No.
Does anybody?
No.
Where are the 74 kids? Did you lose them? Did you lose these kids? Do I need to call someone? Do I need to issue an Amber Alert for missing children? Are these children missing?
Look how fat they
It's
are.
not my business that children are missing.
Somalians are
74
well-fed.
infants and toddlers, preschool.
Look at that boy. He needs to be on the
Prove it
football
Right there.
team.
There's no children anywhere.
It's from the state of Minnesota right here.
It's cut
All right.
anyway.
I think we're moving on to the next location. Have a good day.
Okay.
As we continue to show the blatant fraud that was taking place here in Minnesota, Somalis started following us around the city.
And now we're being followed by the Somalis. This is another daycare center. Absolutely no signage, and there's no footprints in the snow.
Okay, you
of
get the
children
point.
playing
If you went forward and you
$5
don't have
million.
to, you can stop it, hon. He shows he goes into this one, like a business place where you'd rent offices. Door after door is a healthcare center. Literally, go to one door, it's a healthcare center. Next door, it's a healthcare center. Next door, and they're all owned by Somalis, and they all get money. One of the things they do too is they declare all their kids autistic, and they take in billions. The way those healthcare centers work too is you can take your kid there, get your kid registered, and then you get a check from the government to help pay for the kid, even though you never take your kid there. So billions of dollars, and guess what? Ilhan Omar, who's now worth $30 million, though she was worth negative $75,000 when she got her job in the House, she actually passed some legislation to make all this possible in Minnesota. This is corruption.
It's just how you ruin it for everybody.
Well, I guarantee you, this is not that. And what Walz does is he buys the votes. He lets it go, buys the votes.
Now all the Somalians want to vote for whoever's letting this go on.
In fact, they even have a rule now in Minnesota that one person can vouch for up to like 8 people or 15 people to vote. So if you go to register that day and you bring 8 friends, and you can say, well, all of them live with me, and they all are, and they'll let them, and that's how they get the Somali vote total up. Now, it's not just about Somalis, though. I guarantee if you were to go back,
it's almost irrelevant. Let's just
you could go to Tammany Hall, go to the Irish in New York and Boston,
people
and
don't know that
Chicago.
reference.
Back in the old days, they would.
When the Irish were getting off the boat at the Statue of Liberty in New York City, yeah, it was the same deal.
Here's some money. Here's your voter card. You're a Democrat. And corruption is corruption. What is amazing to me is in a free country that someone's finally looking at it because of the internet. it's a sign that nothing's going to stay the same. Nothing's going to stay the same. Because even if the media tries to ignore it, the people who are seeing it are seeing it. And they're losing trust for their government. Do you want to pay taxes to the federal government now?
No.
That's what they're doing with your money. Could you how much a year do we gross take in at ours?
Gross.
Gross.
And this is including subsidy from the government.
Before we pay our expenses.
800,000.
And how much is the expense for last year? Just say it.
820,000.
So we normally break even.
We're right around break even. Like if
we
you look
were a
over
little
a 5
low.
year period.
By the way, we don't mind because it's a ministry to those children, and our people work hard.
And let me say it
but
this
there's
way.
no money in it.
No,
but they're making millions.
We break even. We've broken even if you average it over years because there's fluctuations, right? So we'll have a year where in the black 20 and in the red 20, but that's the church paying the heating bill, the electric bill, and the rent. Like the daycare's not paying the mortgage, they're not keeping it hot, and they're not keeping the lights on.
That's right. So that's
just like running.
So we do it as ministry. It doesn't make Harvest a dime.
We make no money off of it.
Our workers that will never be able. They're taking care of people's precious children.
And teaching them about Jesus.
And there's not great money in that because it doesn't make any money. And yet these guys are open. These Somalis have thousands of them in Minneapolis, and somehow they're all getting rich.
Yeah, and
because the government's giving them money, and they don't have to take care of any kids.
Look, and in principle, I don't like a lot of subsidy. I don't like almost any subsidy. You know, if we're gonna go political arguments,
all government welfare.
But I could be argued for certain social programs, right? And so if you're less conservative politically minded than I probably am, you should be even more mad about this, because what's going to happen is it's going to make people like us, or just everyone, say, I don't want any money to go to that anymore because I can't trust. Like, this is going to ruin daycare subsidies for everybody. This is going to ruin the government trying to give support to families who have an autistic child for everybody, because people are taking advantage of it.
There are real kids with autistic children.
Yeah. There are real single moms out there whose baby daddies are deadbeat and have left them. They need some help. And they need help trying to go to work to feed their kids, and somebody needs to watch their kids. And yeah, you're just going to get the general populace to say, I can't trust any of that. I don't want any money to go to any of that anymore. But as a
Christian, reflecting on it from a Christian worldview,
stealing from the government's not a victimless crime.
Well, yes, it's not. It's bad. Stealing anywhere is never victimless. They can afford it. It's a big company. Wrong. But one of the things to see is there is no government that won't be like this if it's not checked.
Correct.
Because humans are the same all over the world. They will steal if they can steal. If no one can check, someone will. There'll be people who won't go along. But trust me, even those who won't steal will often turn a blind eye because it's not in their best interest to say anything. They could get in trouble. They could get beat up. They could get killed.
Yeah, this dude. This guy. I mean, it's not really in his interest.
That guy in Minnesota might get killed.
That's what I'm saying. This young guy, it's not.
Well, I'm talking about the guy in the vest. He lives there. Nick Shirley doesn't even live there. He could go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But so there's no perfect government, and there never will be. People have to be watched. Another thing, thou shalt not steal matters.
Ooh.
It ruins your soul. So it is what it is. That's the world we live in. That you can invest your whole life on working on cleaning up the earth, and you won't get there. But you could also invest your whole life on building a healthy church, and that will change your society more. That will change the world more. And you can build a culture that way. You know, they said back when they first had the Olympics in Norway, it's probably not this true now because they have so much immigration, but back before the EU and all that, that you could, if you could leave your wallet on the bus and they would turn it in.
Good. Amen.
Because they had a culture that started to embrace. I don't think it's that way now because they've had so much immigration and they let in all the Muslims and everything changed. But anyway, hey.
That's it.
That was a long time. We talked about a lot of stuff. See you in Romans, folks, next time.
If you've never read through it, Start reading.
Reading chapter 1. Take your time.
Start reading in front of us. It's it's a book that you can repeat reading the same passages
over and over
to just
get more out of it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Bye.